What's up guys, Phantom here. In the last video I mentioned about doing a 480 swap in my new Silverado SS. It's time. I want to drive that thing without worrying. It makes the trip with the 4060 all right, but it's only a matter of time. So I've got the 480, I've got everything I need to make the swap, so I'm gonna do it today. Go ahead and start by disconnecting the battery, and then I'll get it up in the air and start undoing bolts. The one thing that will ruin a day is the exhaust manifold bolts where it connects to the factory Y pipe. Very rarely do you get lucky and those come off without breaking. So I'm gonna cross my fingers here. I've already soaked them with some Royal Purple penetrating oil, so hopefully that loosens up whatever rust and corrosion may be under there and they come off. There's 6 of them, so hopefully that takes care of it, but I'm not hopeful. So like I said, I've got all the parts. I'll have a full parts list and even the tools that I use to complete this in the description of the video below, and I'll try to talk about it as I go. But this will be the first 4-wheel drive / all-wheel drive vehicle that I've done. Everything else I've ever had has been 2-wheel drive, so 2-wheel drive is a lot easier to work on. There's no transfer case, there's only one drive shaft. That's that. So to do the 480 swap in the all-wheel drive is a little bit more complex. You actually have to tear the transfer case open. There's a new input shaft adapter that you have to put in it. Our buddies over at Mark Williams actually make one. It's a real nice piece. Open this up here. So there's that. There's also a few guys that you can send them your stock unit and they will modify it to work. I wanted to have everything right here ready to go, so I called Mark Williams, bought one, they sent it to me. So but I'm gonna probably have to watch a YouTube video myself or see if I can sweet talk Monkey into coming over and helping me tear into that transfer case when it comes time for that. But probably still a couple hours away from it. I'm going to, as you've seen in the last video, I also put seafoam in the crankcase. So I drove it home, drove it back. Gonna drain the drain the motor oil, and then I'll also put a new rear cover on because the rear main seal leaks on this thing and it drives me crazy. I don't like oil leaks. So I'm trying to think. I think that's it for now. I'm going to get the battery undone here. I'll raise it up and I'll get started underneath. So the first bit of hang up here, one of the previous owners thought it'd be a cool idea to put that in place of, I'm guessing, one of these. It's a ball and socket flange where you can actually take the exhaust apart and get it out of the way while you're doing a transmission removal / install. So I didn't plan on doing this right now, but since I'm going to cut that off so I can get it out of here, I'll probably go ahead and completely get rid of it and put headers on it and build a new exhaust. So like I said, I didn't really want to do that right now, but since it's here, I guess I will. And then somebody also rounded off the transmission drain plug. So I've exhausted all the effort that I would like to on that. So I'll just undo all the transmission pan bolts and drain it that way. I figured it was going to be something like this, but I was kind of hoping for the best. So oh well, I'll get this exhaust sawzalled out of here and continue on. I absolutely hate sawzalls, by the way. So I got the transmission pan off, letting the transmission drain. That way it doesn't leak everywhere. Whenever I pull this thing out here in a little bit. I couldn't get that plug out. Wasn't happening. So I had to pull the pan, let that drain for a minute. Got the front drive shaft out. Got this exhaust off of here. There's a single, so these trucks are dual, but they've got 2 pipes from the factory. It said, you know, it doesn't Y pipe like a stock 5.3 or something. They've actually got dual pipes. Then they run it into a single muffler, and then dual, and then single again. So I don't know. I hated it. I wasn't ready to really do exhaust on it yet, but I guess I will now. So get some. Probably order a 3-inch Y pipe from Texas Speed, and then probably go 3.5 inch all the way out the back. Probably cut this exhaust off right about here and tie into it somehow with 3.5 inch. So that's that. It's pretty slow moving. Like I said, this is my first time to work on a 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, whatever. I'm just trying to figure everything out as I go, so it's going to take me a while. Luckily, we don't really have anything that we need this lift for right now. Still don't have everything for shop truck to work on it. Sean and Richard are actually working on the 55 over there today, just doing some little piddly stuff on it. So right now, I think I'll get the rear drive shaft out and start getting the transfer case out. I'm guessing that's going to be pretty fun. So there's 6 bolts here. That's transfer case bolts to the transmission. I'm guessing this one right here, it's going to be real fun to get to. So put this transmission pan back on, and I'll start on this. So I'll turn the camera on and time lapse this deal, and y'all can watch me fumble around and figure it out. Okay, so I'm moving on to getting the transmission out. First things first, get the starter out of the way. 2 13mm bolts, and then you can slide it up out of the way, and then there's 3 bolts that hold the converter to the factory flex plate. It's kind of weird. None of the metric wrenches I have fit it, and none of my standard wrenches fit it, so I had to use the 8mm Allen to go inside the head there. That's a weird one. But anyways, they're all 3 out. You'll just have to helps to have a buddy here helping you. If not, get you a 24mm socket, put it on the crank bolt, get you a big long wrench, and just spin it till you get to each bolt. Just turn it till you see your bolt, get that bolt out, move to the next one. So now I'll probably go ahead and get the bell housing bolts out, and then once I am able to do that, I'll get this cross member down. I'll start loading the transmission, and I'll get the cooler lines off and the dipstick tube, and then I'll have this thing out. Check it out. So this doesn't really require any special tools, but there are some tools that make life easier. So for the bell housing bolts, I like to use, I have two of these. They're a wobble socket, I guess you would call it, medium length, 15 millimeter and a 13 millimeter. Like I said, it's not necessary. You can get it with wrenches or normal sockets, whatever. These just make it easier. So mine are made by Snap-on. Lots of different companies make them. So not necessary, very helpful. All right, so the 4L60 is out of this thing. Thank God. It got me where I needed to go. I'd only been on one road trip with it. Not pulling anything, just driving. I went to Garden City, Kansas. I picked up some seats for a project that Sean's got going on. Made it, no problem. But I've never, in the month or so I've owned this truck, I've never been full throttle, because if you go much past the quarter throttle, transmission's straight up not having a good time, dog. So now I'm gonna get this flex plate out, and I'm going to replace that rear cover so so that damn oil leak will stop. Hopefully that's it. Yeah, hopefully that's it. So get my 1/2 inch impact here and get that off, see what's going on. Alright, so I got my new cover here, just from the local parts store. Nothing fancy. I don't think there's really a better one or anything like that, but it comes with a new gasket, new seal, and new bolts. If mine didn't leak, I wouldn't be messing with this at all. So I've reused these things over and over and over again, as long as they don't leak. So, but mine leaks, so I'm going to change it. I have also reused them, and then they started leaking. So if you have to pull this off for any reason, like if you're building a new motor and you're trying to save a little bit of money and reuse your old timing cover, don't save money here. Just buy it. It's like 60 bucks at the parts store. Get a new cover. It comes with a new seal, new gasket. Be done with it. Because if you put it back together and fire this thing up and it leaks, you got to pull the transmission and all this dumb stuff that I just did just because you were trying to pinch pennies. So here we go. So like I said, since I'm here and had to cut this old exhaust off anyways to get it out of my way, since they did such an awesome job of patching it at one point or another, I'm going to go ahead and put headers on it. Wasn't ready for it, but I'm going to go ahead since I'm here. These are actually the stainless works headers that were on Chi-Chi, my truck that burned to the ground. So they have seen some heat, and they're still in good shape. So they just been sitting in storage, and they're gonna go ahead and get put to use now. I've already got the passenger side manifold off. You can take it out through the top, but you're gonna have to go in with your long tube through the bottom. So sorry, man, I'm sick here also, but you don't need a lift for this. You can do it in your driveway. I've done it. Get your 4-jack, jack this thing up as high as you possibly can, and slide the passenger header up through the bottom, and then I believe the driver's side goes through the top, but I'll touch base on that once I get to that side. But passenger side will go up through the bottom. A nice set of headers will just pretty much slide right up in there without even touching anything. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these things up in there, get them bolted up, and then see if I can't find somebody to help me lift this 4L80 up on the jack and get it put in here. So I'll be back in a little bit. Well, unfortunately, after getting both headers on, passenger fit okay, the driver's side not so much. Apparently Stainless Works makes a 2-wheel drive and a 4-wheel drive header for these trucks. So of course mine were 2-wheel drive and they're just not going to work. So I'll call them Monday and hopefully they have some on the shelf that they can send me out. I know they've been backed up due to the whole COVID deal. It's tough to get caught back up on production, so I get it. I'll figure something out though. This is one of the main things that you're going to need for this swap. New flex plate. You'll get this from a truck with a 4L80 from the factory. So, you know, something like a 2002 3/4 ton Chevy truck would have this flex plate. And then you'll also need this spacer. It goes on the back of the crank, goes between the crank and the flex plate. Makes up the difference. Where the old one is, it's dished. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this new one will be flat. This spacer makes up the difference, and then you'll also need longer flex plate bolts. I used ARP. You can get factory ones from the same truck that you get the flex plate from. Either will work. Be sure to, I always put a little bit of red Loctite on these, or green, whatever you might have. So, gonna go ahead and get this put on now, and then it'll be time to stab the transmission. So I just found this out. I just opened this flex plate for the first time since I bought it a few weeks ago, and it came with one of the spacers. So that's kind of cool. I got this from O'Reilly's. There's the part number on it. I don't know why that's turning like that. Anyways, that's the part number that I'm going to use here. It came with the spacer, so I'm going to go ahead and bolt this thing on. Alright, so the new 4L80 is in. I used cross member from DTR Fab. It was kind of a pain. I had some trouble Saturday night. As I said, the headers had to come back out because they don't fit this truck. And then I had some other stuff happen too, so I just kind of gave up. Figured it was probably for the better. But transmission's in now. I just got to bolt the converter up. The pieces that will be used, the front drive shaft from a 2500 truck with a 6.0 4L80 will fit in this. I had a rear drive shaft made by Dynamic Drivelines, and of course the Mark Williams input adapter will all be used in here too. So one thing that you're going to have to do, there's a couple different ways you can do this. The way I did it is the almost free way. All I had to buy was a VSS pigtail. This little thing right here. It was like $5 or $6 on Amazon. I don't know, you could probably cut it off of another harness if you have one laying around, but you will need to repin the main harness for the 4L80. Get this off here. Okay, so it's not hard. I'll include a couple links for you. Shows you exactly what to do, but in the end you're going to end up with two free wires, a tan black and a white. Those will not be used in the main harness, this plug right here that plugs into the side of the transmission. Instead, you'll be able to use these for the extra speed sensor. The 4L60 only uses one sensor, 4L80 uses two. So you will actually connect these wires to the red, or whatever color wires are on your VSS sensor, and then these two wires right here actually go up to the ECU, and you'll unpin them from the two pins where they are there, and then you will repin them in the two spots where they'll go, so that both speed sensors will read for the 4L80. I'll include a link and tell you what pins and stuff that you put them in. Super simple, and it's about, I don't know, $6 and a little bit of your time to do. So, but there's also another way, super simple, easier, but it's about $300. A company named Frost makes a harness that plugs into this and then plugs into the side of the transmission, and you're done. I've used it before, it works great. I've got one on shop truck, I've used them on man van, and just about every other 4L80 swap we've done, but didn't do it here. Wanted to try something different, and I didn't have $300 extra to spend, so here we are. So waiting on headers. I can't finish this thing today. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the wiring, and then probably start tearing into the transfer case to get the parts that need to go in it, and then maybe get it put back in before it's time to leave. So keep on plugging away here and show y'all what I'm doing as I go. Okay, 4L80 is in. The wiring is done. I've just kind of got everything set up here, but got the black box on the side of it again. Linkage is hooked up. Oh, you'll need this bracket also for 4L80, the shifter cable bracket. Your stock cable will work, but you need that bracket. That'll be another part number that's listed in the description here. I mounted a trans cooler, sort of. I've got a real nice bracket on the way for it. Unfortunately, it didn't make it here in time. So the cooler's just kind of zip tied in there, sort of, for now. That's a True Cool 40K GVW. That's the same cooler I run on shop truck and just about every other one of these trucks I've done. It really helps keep transmission temps down. I like them, so that's what I use. I ran new hose. So these transmissions from the factory, they actually run through the radiator, and then this one actually had an auxiliary cooler on it as well. A little bitty guy there. I didn't have transmission temp issues, but I don't like the transmission running through the radiator. Obviously, GM did a lot of R&D, and they decided it was best for this truck. But my reasoning is, what if that bladder, or however that works in there inside the radiator, that separates the transmission fluid and the antifreeze, what if there gets a hole in there? Then you mix antifreeze in your transmission fluid, and then you burn your transmission up. So a cooler is one of the things I like to do, just because may not be needed. I do it, and that's my reasoning. So that will be, probably have to shorten one of these hoses. They got fittings in the side of the transmission. The light here, AN fittings. This particular case has different fittings than the older style cases. This is a newer style case. So this back fitting here, it's actually got a long piece on the end of it that goes down into the transmission to get the fluid where it needs to go, and then the front one's just regular fitting. But I'm using all AN hose -6 up to the cooler and back, bypassing the stock radiator and the stock auxiliary transmission cooler. So I'm going to get some torque converter bolts. I shouldn't have bolted that starter in before I did that. That sucks. Got to take the starter back off. Get some bolts. And then all that's really left is tearing the transfer case apart and doing the input adapter. And I got a pump rub kit for it also. I don't even know what that is, but Monkey recommended it. I guess these have an issue with rubbing a hole in the transfer case if you don't use that deal. So I got one just for added insurance. But I'm getting closer, and hopefully have this thing running. But the longest part's going to be waiting on the headers, and then I've got to build exhaust for it. So I've got further to go than what I'd like, but it's getting there. So the snap rings inside these things suck if you don't have the right snap ring pliers. So good luck. Whatever tool you can find to get these off is the right tool at the time, but I'm guessing they make better tools for this project. So have fun. It's not as easy as they make it look in the video. So this is the new one that's going in the transmission. You have to get the bearing off of the old one. There's another one of those awesome snap rings that holds the bearing on that shaft. And then just reverse what you just did. Put it back together. So pump rub kit installed. It's just I guess it's just a nicer built cover. It keeps the pump from rubbing through the transfer case. Old, new. So you pull this cover off. It's got 6 little screws. You'll pull the old pump gears out, slide them in, put it back together. Alright, so I've got the new input adapter in, got the pump rub kit on, and as things usually go, at least for me, it wasn't near as easy as the videos made it seem to be. So clean everything up real good here now and put it back together. So it's back together. I really don't know what to say. It wasn't hard. If I did it again, wouldn't take me near as long. There are some differences in how mine came apart and what I found on the videos on where I learned how to do these. Everything went back together okay. I've already got this snap ring in to hold the I guess the output shaft in place. That went on a lot easier than it came off, so I don't know. It's together. I'm going to, I guess, torque all the bolts. I'm going to clean the old gasket off the front here where it actually mates to the transmission. I'll put a new gasket on. Hopefully I didn't throw that away. I probably did. I'll have to go dig it out of the trash, but I got a new gasket to put on here. And then I guess I'll put it in the truck. I don't know. I'm a little leery. I did this myself. I'm not a mechanic by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm damn sure not a transmission repairman or transfer case repairman. It was pretty simple in there, but I don't know. I hope it works. I'm sure it will. I'm sure everything will be fine. No big deal. So finish this up, I'll get the truck back up in the air and stab it. Hopefully it works. Alright, so this thing's finished. My 2003 Silverado SS has been successfully 4L80 swapped. This is, I guess, my second drive. I drove it home last night just to kind of check everything out, make sure everything was going to work right. Everything does work right. I love it. Ever since I've had the truck, which isn't very long, but I've never really been able to jump on it because the 4L60 wasn't really having a great time. So I can get on this thing now, and man, it really runs pretty good for a stock truck. I believe I showed, I had some two-wheel drive headers from Stainless Works that came off of my truck that burned to the ground. Chi-Chi, you guys might remember the white single cab before shop truck. I still had those headers, bolted them up, got into the truck, realized real quick they weren't going to work. The driver's side header was right behind the front differential. So called Stainless Works. They got me some four-wheel drive headers sent out super quick, and then we went racing. So this thing got extended, drawn out a little bit more. But we got home this weekend. I was at the shop pretty early Sunday morning. Monkey come over. He built a new custom exhaust for me. We bolted the headers on, and then had a bunch of Stainless Works material laying around. So it's actually, the headers have 3-inch collectors. I went and bought a Speed Engineering Y pipe locally from someone, and then we kind of modified it to fit this configuration, and then we turned it into a 3.5-inch exhaust to meet up with the factory exhaust exit. So it's got a 3-inch collector header, 3-inch Y pipe, and then at the end of the Y pipe it turns to 3.5 inches, goes to a 6-inch round Dynamax muffler that is, I think it's either 18 or 20 inches long, and then from there it goes out the back of the factory location with the factory 3.5-inch pipe. So I love the way it sounds, nice and mellow. It's a definite improvement over the old Flowmaster. So that's really about it. Like I said, I'll have a full list of everything that you need to complete the swap here. It's a little more involved for a four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive application like this than it is two-wheel drive. I'll probably even do a write-up to explain things a little more in depth, because I'm not very good at showing everything that actually went into making it happen. But it was fairly simple. I was most intimidated by the transfer case, pulling it apart, putting the new input adapter in, and all that stuff. And honestly, it wasn't really that hard. The snap rings inside of it sucked, so you'll need a good set of snap ring pliers for those, and some screwdrivers, and another set of hands would be real helpful too, but not totally necessary. It's not as cheap as I would have liked it to have been. It probably can be done cheaper. I bought a new transmission. I got a new rear drive shaft. I got the Mark Williams input adapter. I got the Mark Williams 1350 pinion yoke. But man, I've cheaped out on everything, or not everything, but I've cheaped out on so much stuff in the past, and it seems to always bite me in the butt in the end. So I just bought all the nice stuff this time. So kind of go over what you'll need. You'll need a 4L80 transmission with a converter. You're going to need a new input, a 32 spline input adapter. You can either send your stock input adapter to one of the guys that modifies them to work with the 4L80 swap, or you can get a hold of me and I'll get you a Mark Williams input adapter. You're going to need a cross member. You can either get the cross member from my buddy DTR Fab, or you can modify your stock one. There's several write-ups online that show you how to do it, where to cut, where to weld, all that stuff. I got the one from my buddy, of course. You're going to need either a new rear drive shaft, or you're going to need to modify your stock one. I chose to get a new one from Dynamic Driveline. you can use your stock pinion yoke. I chose to put a 1350 yoke on it just because it's stronger. I don't need it. I'm not going to make a bunch of power with this truck at all. I don't intend on racing it or anything like that, but I mean, you know, I'm probably going to race it. But yeah, so, you know, you can use your stock one, modify your stock drive shaft. I chose not to. It's not necessary. I just like to do that stuff. I did use a front drive shaft from like a 2003 Chevy truck that was a 3/4 ton, you know, 2500 HD with the 604 L80 combo. Trying to think. The wiring. I'll be sure to include links to how to wire the transmission plug and the new speed sensor. You can pretty much do that for free, or you can skip all the BS and you can order a conversion harness from a company named Frost. You literally plug it into your existing harness and then plug it into the transmission, and boom, you're done. You don't have to do any segment swaps with the ECU. It uses all the 4L60 logic. All you have to do is adjust your shift points, converter lockup, all that stuff. I chose to do it the free way. I've never done it this way, and it worked great, and I'll probably do the same thing from here on out. All you have to do, if you do it my way, is you have to have access to HP tuners, and you have to segment swap your tune. It needs a 4L80 segment instead of the 4L60. It's a very straightforward process. You know, as far as difficulty level, I don't know how to rate it. It wasn't that hard. I mean, if you can change a transmission, you can pretty much do this swap. So there's lots of write-ups about this on the internet. Pretty easy to search for. You know, type in Silverado 4L80 swap and then pick what thread you want to learn how to do it from. It doesn't take really any special tools. You know, to get the bell housing bolts off, you need a 13mm socket and wrench, a 15mm socket and wrench. Some long extensions help. Nice impact helps if you got that, but it can be done with normal, you know, ratchets and wrenches and stuff. Converter bolts. I believe mine were weird. I didn't have a wrench that would fit the actual hex head on the bolts, metric or standard. So I had to use the I believe it was a 6, maybe an 8mm Allen head in the middle of the bolt head to get my 4L60 converter bolts out. But then I replaced those when I went back together with ARP bolts. So they're a nice 12-point socket head on those. That's really about it. I'm not afraid to pull anything with this truck now. I actually can't wait to hook up to my trailer and put a shop truck on it and head out of town to go racing as soon as that thing's done. Man, the sun's bright this morning. I'm early this morning too. I don't know why I'm so early. I just wanted to drive this thing, I think. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, you know, post them in the comment section. I'll answer them as best I can. Hopefully the write-up that I put out to go along with this video will help you guys out with any of those questions, but if not, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer them. You know, I guess I get a lot of questions about drive shaft length on this. It's center to center of my drive shaft is 70 inches, but that's only because I use the 1350 pinion yoke. If you use your stock yoke, it's going to be different. I can't remember if it's longer. So I believe the drive shaft will need to be longer. I can't remember for sure. But be sure to measure. Don't just do the same thing I did unless you're buying the exact same parts that I did. So, and if you're going to buy the exact same parts I did, just order them from me, and I'll make sure it's set up right. I don't think I really showed how to do the pinion yoke. It wasn't that hard. You need I can't remember what size the socket was to get the pinion nut off. It's big though. Take that off, tap the old pinion yoke off, put your new seal in. You know, if you do that new 1350 pinion yoke, you'll need a pinion yoke seal for like a 1985 Chevy truck with a 8.5-inch 10 bolt. and then you know, get the old seal out, tap the new seal in, put the new yoke on, put the pinion nut on. Boom, you're done with that. That's about it, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Get out here in a minute, maybe show you a little walk around and how it sounds. It just sounds like a stock truck with nice exhaust on it at this point, because it's not cammed or anything like that. But that'll probably come, not in the near future, because we got so much going on in the shop. But once I get a little bit of free time, I'll probably cam swap this thing, just to be totally honest with everyone. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I know I'm not the best at showing and explaining things, but I showed most of the important stuff, I feel like, and if not, I'll be sure to explain it really well in the write-up that I do on how to do this stuff. So thanks for watching, and tell us, you know, as usual, tell us what you like or what you don't like in the comments. Give us a like, hit the subscribe button, tell your buddies. I think we're home for the winter now, maybe, so we're gonna get moving on the 55 build. We're gonna go pick the motor up for it this week. We're going to tear down the OG Nova and take it to have a bunch of work done to it, as far as making it look nice again instead of like a raggedy pile, because it's not a raggedy pile. The thing's still pretty bad. So I'll get moving on my truck again once the Nova's out of the way. I've got all the parts, I think, to do it. Man, yeah, we got a lot to do. You know, you seen us last week. We ran threes with the new car, so that's pretty awesome. It's fixing to go to the body shop, and it's going to get some love this winter too. So stay tuned for that. Y'all are going to be, I don't know, I'm going to be happy about it. Hopefully you guys like it as much as what we think we're going to. But that's it. So we'll see you on the next video. So Monkey come over yesterday and helped me finish this thing up. Got the stainless works headers on it, and then he built me a custom exhaust out of some stainless works material we had around the shop here. It's the header's got 3-inch collectors, and then I got a 3-inch Y pipe. We modified it, and it's actually a 3.5-inch exhaust out the back to meet with the factory exhaust exit. So nice and mellow. It sounds good when you open it up. Crawl under here. Man, he does such a good job on this stuff. No rattles. So that's that. And then mounted my True Cool 40K cooler up here using the Atomic Fab bracket. And this transmission doesn't even think about getting hot now.